So we have made it to day 2, and today's practice is a really super mellow, gentle flow, about 40 minutes or so, just to ease us in nice and gently. And it's perfect for a Sunday, a time of the week. We've had a manic period, most likely, over the last couple of weeks with Christmas and New Year, and it's nice to just have a little chilled one on a Sunday as we prepare for maybe the return to work tomorrow, or the return back to kind of life before the Christmas period happened. So we're going to use a mat, obviously, but I've got a blanket that I'm going to be using. You can have cushions underneath you, you can have a bolster, but definitely grab some blocks or some bucks if you don't have blocks. We'll use those in our practice today. And I'm going to find a nice comfortable position, crossing the legs, growing nice and tall through the spine. Maybe here you have something to support the knees. If the knees are kind of up here and they feel like you're not that comfortable, bring them onto a block underneath you, and you can also sit up onto a cushion. It helps make that spine a little taller and helps you engage through the core here. So we're nice and straight through that spine. I'm going to start just with a couple of circles of the head all the way round in any direction, just sweeping it round. And reversing, taking it round the opposite way. Good, and one more circle. And come to find stillness here. And with the chin just slightly tucked down towards the chest, just close the eyes. Take a breath. And just take a little pause here before the movement practice begins. Just to drop into some stillness, some quietness. Note over time, with consistent practice, you can begin to drop into the body a lot quicker. Just a simple close of the eyes is enough for you to just part ways with what's going on around you and come into your internal world, where it's only you that matters. And if we get to a point where we can just take this little moment for ourselves a few times throughout the day, giving ourselves a mental pause, a relief from the kind of ongoing, busy world that's spinning around us. It's just like a little bit of a refresh. Nice. Let's take a breath together here, just keeping the eyes closed, but make yourself a little taller. Likelihood is that we've kind of dropped down a bit, and that's all good. I'm going to take a full inhale through the nose and a full exhale out the mouth. And we do that 2 more times. Full inhale and exhale. Full inhale and exhale. Nice. And then from here, we're just going to take our time to blink open the eyes. And then begin to have a little roll of the shoulders up to the ears, back down and away. Good, and then changing direction, bringing them forwards. Wonderful, and then come to find stillness. Nice, so I'm going to grab my block. I'm going to place it to the left side of me and take my hand just on top of that block, sliding it away so I find a comfortable place so that I can lean into it and lift my opposite arm up and over for a side stretch. And I'm going to pick up my second block so I can bring it over with me as I stretch over to the right side. Good, and take it left. Big sweeping motion with that right arm. And then take it right. Good, and then come back through to center, grab both your blocks and slide them in front of you. Bring them in so you can rest your forearms onto the blocks. And here, the fold simply comes from dropping the head down. So super gentle. We'll find a stretch across the top of the legs, coming into the hips, across the glutes. Nice rounding of the spine. It's kind of letting your head drop here. You're not holding on to any tension in the neck. Maybe you want to close the eyes and just listen to the sound of your own breath. Another couple of breaths here. Good, and then we're going to slowly roll our way back up. So just rolling through the spine vertebrae by vertebrae, nice and slow to lift that head. Whew, nice. Now we're going to change the cross of the legs and we're going to do that fold one more time. So this way will feel different. It's our unnatural way of crossing. It's going to feel a little tighter. But that's good. We want to balance out the body. So coming back to find that little rest on the blocks. Your hands are just going to drop forward. The head is going to drop. Nice rounding of the spine. And again, closing the eyes. And tuning into the sound of your own breath. Really nice. Tucking the chin towards the chest. We're going to slowly roll back up. Come to find your seat. Lovely. Okay, I'm going to swing it round now onto all fours. So it's nice to have something underneath the knees here. But obviously it's your choice entirely. Just make sure that your toes are not tucked under. The tops of your feet are down. Spread your fingers nice and wide. have your knees about hip distance and start to take full circles with the hips. So it doesn't matter which direction, we're going to go in both directions. But just really protect those wrists by pushing into your fingers as the weight shifts forwards here. So it's nice and gentle. We're not going too fast, we're not going too deep. We're just getting everything moving. Keeping that spine nice and long. Wonderful, and then let's reverse it. Take it round the opposite way. Good, and then this time we're going to end in a child's pose. And if you want to, place a cushion just underneath the bum, so it's just sitting on the calves, just to help you ease down a little bit here. By all means, maybe a block will feel nice underneath the forehead. And come to close the eyes. And if you took the first practice with me, the intention setting practice, now is a really good time to come back to that intention, that affirmation that you set for yourself. And for me, I can clearly visualize the letters, the writing in the journal. I'm just going back over that in my mind's eye. Because the more we can come back to those intentions, the more we can repeat, the more we can embed them, the more they become a reality to us. Just taking a little moment here to think back over the intention you set. And maybe you didn't do the intention setting practice, that's all good. You could take a moment now to think about what you want to cultivate this year. It's quite a deep question. We don't want to rush it, but maybe something kind of comes to the surface. Just work with that thought, whatever it may be. And hear that affirmation, that thought, that intention. Breathe it into your body. Nice deep inhale. And deeply exhale. Lovely. Now we're going to just remove the block if we had it there in front of us. And staying as low as we can to the ground, just come forwards onto the stomach, sliding the legs back, the hands beside the chest. You can have arms straight, you can stay with your arms bent and find more of a cobra, but just seeing what feels good for you. Just stretch out through the chest, through the abs, through the upper body. Make sure there's no pinching, no tight pain in the lower back. And deep inhale in and exhale out. This kind of proud chest here. Wonderful. And then we're going to push it all the way back up and over the knees. Coming back to that tabletop position. Nice. Now this time we're going to find some cat and cow moves. So we inhale as we drop the belly, send the shoulders back and look all the way up. And exhale to round the spine. Now if you're really familiar with this little sequence of cat and cow, we often start to rush and want to move on to the next thing, but just see if you can, as a little mindfulness practice here, see if you can let go of that obsession to kind of rush ahead. See if you can just enjoy this here and now, this simple stretching and lengthening of the spine and of the front body. And maybe working on exaggerating and deepening the stretch on every round, really linking in with your breath. Good, let's do 2 more rounds. Wonderful, and last one. Nice. Okay, from here we're going to tuck the toes under. And first of all, we're just going to hover the knees off the mat just to stretch into those toes. And then head drops down, look to your knees. Slowly push through the legs until you come to a downward facing dog. And then when you get to your down dog, you're going to very slowly start to bend one leg and the opposite heel is going to push backwards. So we're finding a stretch along the backs of the legs. Or maybe if you've not done much yoga over the past couple of weeks, or maybe you're brand new, those hamstrings are going to feel tight. And just feel proud that you're here, you're on the mat, you're making a start into a more flexible and open body in 2022. But we have no pressure on ourselves to rush anything, to get anywhere fast. We want to take it slow, but regular. That's what gets results. We don't go full steam ahead and aim for whatever it is to come tomorrow. You know it's a long journey, and we're saying to ourselves and preparing ourselves for the long journey ahead, knowing that we're very much firmly on the path now. The only way is up. Nice. Now a couple more pedals here, and then we're going to find stillness. So just really think about spreading those fingers wide and pushing yourself backwards here. So we're not collapsing forwards into our hands. We're going to drive the heels back and really feel that stretch along the back of the legs. A little shrug of the shoulders up towards the ears, and just draw that lower belly in. Really nice and controlled here, nice shape with the body. The spine is super long. Getting an inversion by the head below the heart and all the benefits that comes with that. Just stick with it here, a few more breaths. If you can, in and out the nose, what's called a Ujjayi breath. Wonderful. And then we're slowly going to start to tiptoe our way towards a standing forward fold. Now here, the knees can be bent, but the head remains heavy. There's no tension in the neck at all here. And if you want to, it feels good to sway side to side. Maybe you grab opposite elbow. Just allow the body to kind of mold into this shape here, but also to move. Going to find deep stretches across the back of the legs. I'm going to be stretching and really opening up through the tight glute muscles, This is the posterior chain all the way down here. It gets very, very tight with lots of exercise, but also with inactivity. Stretching is one of those things, people often neglect it. And actually, to live in a body that we feel good in, we need that strength, but we also need that flexibility, that ability to move, to be agile, just to feel good, you know. Nice. Now let's bend the knees and then super slow here. We don't want to rush this. Been upside down for a while. You're going to roll vertebrae by vertebrae by vertebrae to come all the way up to stand. So nice. Take a big deep shoulder roll here as you stand. Planting the feet firmly down into the mat. Shine the palms of your hands forwards and take a nice inhale through the nose. And this time open the mouth to sigh out. Take a big deep inhale through the nose. Open the mouth, sigh out. Good. This time inhale as you lift your hands high. And exhale, bring your hands through prayer as you fold down. Inhale, find a flat back, look forwards. Exhale, slide the hands all the way back down to the mat. Step back with your right leg and come to find a low lunge. So my left leg is forward, my right knee is back. I'm just going to shuffle so I come onto my blanket underneath my knee. And then I'm going to grab my blocks here to support me as I lean forward into that low lunge. So just guiding those hips through, finding that stretch on the hip flexor on the right side of the body. And here we are, step one towards our Hanumanasana, our splits. If you ever wanted to do forward splits, this is it. This is where we start. We're going to stretch out the hip flexors, getting those hips nice and open, stretching the quads and the hamstrings. Obviously not everyone in the world desires to do the splits, but having nice open hips, really, really important. Not only as a preventative from injuries, but just to help us do all those things that we need to in everyday life. From here, we're going to send it back. We're going to straighten the front leg this time. And we're going to come onto the heel of my front left foot. Try and keep your hips square. There's tendency to kind of swing to one side. Keep them square, plugging backwards, and then see if you can just fold yourself over. Maybe you take the elbows to the block. Maybe you get rid of the blocks, the hands just go onto the mat. But even though I can reach the mat, there's something quite nice about that kind of sturdiness of the elbows being supported. I know I can lean forwards a little bit more here. My torso is then able to kind of come forwards over that thigh. I'm really finding a longer stretch. Good. One more breath. Wonderful. Now from here, we're going to lift back up. Blocks come in very handy to make that transition nice and easy. And then I'm going to come all the way around to the side. So I'm going to be facing the opposite way at the moment, so you can't see the front, but you can get the gist. The left leg is now nice and straight. The right knee is still down at the back. I'm going to take my hand up onto a block. You can choose which level you decide to go on. I'm going to reach up and over with my top left arm. There's no reason for me to have this block here. Let's keep reaching and lengthening. Losing the microphone. All the way, stretch and lengthen. So I'm getting a really long stretch here all the way along the side of the body. From the outside edge of that left foot all the way up to the fingertips. And then here I'm going to circle the arm all the way round in front of me. A big sweeping circle so we get into that shoulder joint. Taking it round for 3, for 2, and for 1. Really nice. Now I'm going to take my block back, all the way back up to the top of the mat, swinging that back leg round, and I'm going to bring my left foot back. Wonderful. Now from here, I'm going to swap it over, bring my right leg forward. First of all, we're going to go for that low lunge. So I'm just driving the body, driving the hips down towards the mat, keeping the back leg, the back knee nice and straight. Don't be on the inside or outside of that knee. Just think about keeping it nice and centered. Top of the foot pushes down. And then here, hands to blocks, hands to books, hands to mat, whichever works. Just so you can find that real stretch here across the hip flexor on the left side. Nice smooth breath. One more. Good, and now we're going to send the hips back to find that stretch in the hamstring. Taking your blocks wherever you want to go with them. Keeping the hips square, pulling that right hip back if anything. Breathe into this really deep hamstring stretch. Good. Now I'm going to come up a little higher, steady myself on my blocks, take them round to the left side and just kick that left foot back. So my right leg is still long. I'm going to take my left hand down to the block behind me and then a big rainbow with the right arm, stretch it up and over. And trying to keep this openness in the chest so we're not crowding ourselves down here. We're allowing ourselves to be open, look up towards the ceiling. Wonderful, and then lift all the way up. Take your block with you. We're going to do some circles with the shoulder, with the arm. Big sweeping circles. We want to keep equal on both sides here. So take it round for 3, for 2, for 1. Good, and now we can come back forwards. Wonderful. So swinging that back leg round, take your front leg all the way back through. Just take the blocks away for a second and then lift back up into your downward facing dog. And let's have a little pedal and just see how that feels, just with, our first few stretches there into the backs of the legs. You already start to feel a little bit more open there. That's great. Deepest inhale through the nose and out through the mouth. Nice. This time we're going to lift up through the right leg and we're going to bend the knee. So here as we bend the knee, I want you to start to look underneath your right armpit and have a sense that the hip is pushing forward, the knee is coming back. So you're really twisting yourself around here. We're going to get a really long stretch along the standing leg, that left leg, opening up into the hips and maybe a bit of a quad stretch here on that right leg too as we squeeze the heel back towards the bum. Good, and then we're going to start to circle the knee round, big sweeping circles for 1, for 2, and 3. Good, lower down, straight to the opposite side, so lifting up through the left leg, and then here bending at the knee, looking underneath the left armpit, and then start to circle for 1, for 2, for 3. Good, and then lowering down, slowly we're going to lower the knees back down to the mat. And then begin to come down into that child's pose. So when you get to your child's pose, just take a little moment to pause, to close the eyes. And slowly we're going to roll our way up to a kneeling position. Really nice. Okay, so coming onto the knees, we're going to have our blocks behind us. And they're going to be there if we want to use them as a little bit of a support, so we don't have to go all the way down to the mat, although that option is there if that feels better for you. I'm going to take the blocks onto the lowest level, but you kind of have a play with what feels comfortable. They're going to be a little wider than your shoulders and just enough that you're dropping back here, finding that quad stretch through the legs. And then we're going to lift, turn the fingertips to point away from you and lift and reach up and over. So this time here, I'm really going to arch my spine, push my chest forwards and sweep that arm back. So I'm getting a little bit of a back bend here. And then I'm going to lower the arm down through the left side to the middle and over to the right. The fingers turn back, and then I'm going to sweep up and over the opposite side. Taking it back. We just move here a few times each side. And then maybe this time, if you want to, the hips can lift up completely and you push back and find a little bit of a deeper back bend there too. And take it round. Good, and then come to find neutral. Very nice. So coming to sit now, we're taking it down onto our back for our final pose here. So we're going to take the blocks for this restorative pose, and it takes a bit of a time to figure out what works for you. So I'm going to start with the block at the highest level. I'm just going to just sit right at the base of my spine. I'm going to very, very carefully ease myself backwards along that block. Now with my second block, I'm going to place it just behind the head. Making sure it's balanced and flat, and it's not going to feel comfortable otherwise. And then if it feels okay, begin to extend the legs, take the arms nice and wide. And here we find ourselves in a restorative backbend. So it takes a little bit of figuring out, making sure that that block is not on any pressure points in the back. You're not feeling any sharp pain anywhere. That what you're feeling is kind of like you're being held, but you're also feeling like your body is opening up as it's molding over the blocks here. And you can take this a little easier, making sure the block isn't on its highest level. Maybe just even rolling up a cushion underneath the back. And you can make this harder by removing that top block and just allowing the head to drop back completely. And find some big deep breaths. Good, and stay wherever you are for another 3 to 4 breaths. Wonderful. Now to get out of this pose, we're really going to take care, time and control. If you don't have a block under your head, that's the first thing. We're just going to ease that underneath. And then from here, I want you to bring your elbows in. Use your fingertips to grab onto the outside edge of your mat. And then slowly, slowly push into your elbows to lift your head. Tuck your chin underneath and then reach one hand back. Come to lift just enough so you can remove the block from underneath you. And then from here, we're going to lay all the way back down onto our back. And taking it nice and flat here onto our back, drawing the knees in towards the chest. Such a wonderful counter pose to that really strong back bend. Just taking a little rock side to side. Nice. Now from here you can grab onto the outside edge of your feet for your happy baby, drawing your knees wide, and maybe a little sway from side to side works well. And then we come to our final resting pose, our Shavasana. There's that option here to draw the soles of the feet together and just allow the knees to go out wide, resting the hands onto the stomach. Elbows just drop into the mat. And closing down the eyes, come to tune into the weight of your body being held here by the earth beneath you. So this sensation of really feeling grounded, that we are in control, We are firmly planted down onto the earth. That whatever happens, that is our one consistency. We can come back to this whenever we need it. Whenever things start to spin a little bit out of control, this is where we come to. Whatever pose or position you decided to finish here with, place the hands onto the belly and just start to feel the rise and fall as you breathe in and as you breathe out. See if you can stay here for 5 deep breaths. Following the inhale and exhale. Wonderful. And when you feel ready, stretch out the legs, wiggle the fingers and the toes, and lick the lips. And then find a full body stretch. Nice circle of the feet to the ankles. And a really relieving exhale. And come to roll over onto any side, resting your head onto your arm. Hand just in front of the body. And here, take that moment again to reflect back on your intention. Say it to yourself, like you truly mean it. Like you truly believe it, and it will come true. Making our way up to our seat, coming to cross the legs, and growing nice and tall through the spine. If it feels good to roll the head, do so. Maybe the shoulders too. And then we inhale, fully lift the arms. And exhale, and sit heart center. Namaste. I hope that felt good. I hope that was a nice way into your month of yoga. We have a grounding practice tomorrow, a shorter one, 20 minutes. I'd suggest it's a really good way to start the day, but it also works at any other point in the day as well. But kind of like getting that grounding, feeling into, a sense of worth, of belonging, of centeredness, which will carry you through the day ahead. So join me tomorrow, whenever it suits you, and have a lovely rest of your day today, whatever you're up to. See you soon.